¡Viva la libertad, carajo!
Hello, good evening, beautiful people. This is Libertarian God, and we have some things to cover. Some things that are new, some things that are kind of just more of an update, and we're just going to try to, hit as much as we can tonight. We have, just like I said before, we have so much to do. Like I said, Trump is just he's bolting. There's just too much to cover. If you have like a 1 hour stream, like yeah, you're not gonna really cover everything because there's always something new every day. Especially with Doge. Like I've expressed my love for Doge since before the inauguration. I absolutely love the idea. I'm just always beaming about Doge, and every day it's like there's something that Doge has uncovered or something that they've done, a lot of contracts that they have been canceling. And every contract canceled is more money saved for the taxpayers. So I'm planning on doing a lot and making like some like Doge banners. I just want to make a Doge party. Just love it. Absolutely love it. Any money saved, just love it. Just slash it. So what I'm going to touch on today is Anna Paulina Luna. If you don't know who she is, Google her. She is hot. But she's also very intelligent, of course. She's a very smart lady, and she is actually heading the task force for the declassification of federal secrets, which Trump signed his first week. I'm not sure, I forgot which date it was, but he did sign an executive order to declassify the JFK assassination files, the RFK assassination files, and the MLK Jr. assassination files. And Ms. Luna will be heading that task force, and I'm looking forward to it. I would like to see what they're going to find, if there's anything that's going to be predictable, if there's anything that's going to be like a super big surprise. Now, some stuff has come out a little bit here and there. I have seen some posts on X that have just been, oh, like that was wild, or put it back. Something about MLK, that he wasn't exactly straight, which cool, good for him if he wasn't. This is just, you can never really believe what you read on the internet, and this is just something I saw in passing. So let's go and touch on some updates first before we get into today's real meat and potatoes. So, as of today, the Director of National Intelligence is an absolute hottie. If you don't know, Mama Tulsi has been confirmed. Yay! So now Mama Tulsi is, or Coconut Mommy, some people like to call her. Mama Tulsi is now the Director of National Intelligence. And yeah, I'm excited for that. Like, I hope she gets a lot of airtime. I hope there's lots of things that she's going to do, lots of investigations. Now, granted, I don't want things to happen that she would have to investigate, like I don't wish for bad things. I want to see more of her. So that would be nice if there's at least maybe something existing. Yeah, I don't want anything bad to happen that she's going to have to pop up and give any kind of updates or any kind of whatever to. So I don't want anything bad new to happen, but I think it'd be wonderful if she gets on to pre-existing stuff, because I know there's tons. If you've been following anything like with Doge, there's a lot to uncover, especially since there was lots of abuses last administration, especially. And the wild thing about that, side note, is that they always try, like the left has always tried to say Trump would attack his political opponents, when that's exactly what the last administration did. They, like, I'm not even Republican, I'm not even conservative, but even I can see that they were attacking their political opponents. Like, come on, it was just common sense. Anyway, like frivolous lawsuits. So I hope that we see more of Mama Tulsi coming out with things that she's found in any kind of current or established kind of issues that she kind of reveals, more transparent. Just an excuse to see her give any kind of press conferences and stuff. I feel that'd be nice. She is a very smart woman. She's very open-minded. I do hope and wish that we could bring her to the libertarian side, because she is an open-minded, smart woman. She has left the Democrats after seeing what kind of a train wreck they've become. So she's open to altering her perceptions based on, any kind of new evidence and whatnot. So yeah, I'm really excited about Tulsi. I haven't seen the updates yet. I've been checking and checking and checking about RFK Jr. I saw one post on X that he's been confirmed, and then I look it up and it says that he hasn't. They're still waiting on all the votes. So I've yet to see if that's been actually confirmed. If it's been confirmed that RFK Jr. has been confirmed. So still looking for that. Still waiting for that. I think that he personally would be great at his job. He really seems to know what he's talking about. Now, they tried to bring up in their statements today, which I was just kind of like, shut up, like in the most Regina George sort of way, just like, shut up. Whenever they were just trying to like bring up the weirdest stuff, like he's a conspiracy theorist. Do you know how many conspiracy theorists these days have been vindicated? Like Alex Jones is like probably the most vindicated man in the country. And he was always lauded as being a conspiracy theorist. And there's reason that conspiracy theories, even take place or like grow or get created, is because, things don't always add up. So that was a lot of the talking points that they had during the whole confirmation, voting and such. That he's a conspiracy theorist, that he's a science denier, that he killed a bunch of Samoans by denying them measles vaccines, which you can't really blame him. It's not like he was giving them measles. And I'm not going to get into the whole thing about measles. There's a lot of different evidence about measles, and we're not here for that discussion today. And I'm not a doctor, but RFK, he really seems like a genuinely healthy guy. If the last, who was it that was the last administration? They had a very forgetful name, but not a very forgetful face. They were not a very healthy person, not a very healthy looking person at all. So I don't know why it's not a given that RFK Jr., a very healthy man at his age, can't just like walk onto that job, because he's very fit. He definitely takes good care of himself. It's very obvious. And he's been caught like on a plane putting some sort of like health substance in his water, which I want to know what that is. And I want it. Like, I want a list of everything that RFK Jr. takes, all his supplements, because at his age, he is like very much in shape. He looks great. Doesn't sound great, but that's for completely different reasons. So yeah, a list of everything he takes, that'd be wonderful. Yeah, like if he gets confirmed, or when he gets confirmed, because apparently he does have the votes. He should just like release, like, this is what I take, this is what I do, Yeah, and then I'll just go ahead and buy all that, get all healthy, like Mr. RFK Jr. and try to not spend my life on was it Red 40? I don't know, whatever it is that's in those like flaming hot Cheetos. That is probably like my only unhealthy vice, but they're the baked ones. They're the baked flaming hot Cheetos, because I'm health conscious, but that's probably like my only junk food there. All right, so let's get into a little bit what we're going to go over today. So Anna Paulina Luna is heading the task force for the declassification of federal secrets. And there's lots of federal secrets. The ones specifically that she's going to be heading the task force for are JFK, RFK, and MLK Jr.'s assassination files. And, the thing about those is that they're all relatively in the same time period. I think within a span of 10 years. And the way the world was back then, it was tumultuous, to say the least. I think, I'm not sure if that's really like the best thing to say. Like, it was the Cold War was going on, because you had, JFK and the Bay of Pigs, and it was just a very nasty time. The civil rights era and all those struggles, those were going on. We did land on the moon, so that was pretty cool, unless you are in the park of we didn't really land on the moon. I haven't seen the evidence that we haven't. I know that we have equipment on the moon, so I'm not going to get into that either. But maybe she'll reveal that too. Maybe that will be all part of JFK files. However, it has nothing to do with this assassination, unless it does. Unless there is something about the whole moon landing that tied into possibly why. Although some of the theories have been because he didn't want war. There's one theory that he wanted to register, I think, APAC as a foreign government agency. I think. I don't know the details on that. I've heard briefly about that, but none, of course, have been confirmed. There's a whole LBJ did it for power. LBJ did it for he wanted to go to war because shortly after LBJ got in, we went to war. So whatever reason it was, yeah. So yeah, the predecessor to APAC. I don't know what it was called, because I personally have not gone that route in regards to the that theory. I haven't looked further into that theory because it's a new one that I've heard. It's not one that I have heard for a long time. It's one that I've heard of probably in the past like few weeks maybe. I haven't really gone down that rabbit hole, so I don't really know what the predecessor was, because like I said, I just heard about that theory within the last like few weeks. So I'm honestly just really curious on how deep these declassifications are going to go. Like, if there's going to be any kind of reasonings, if there's any kind of like how detailed, because like I've spoken before, we had was it a few weeks back, came on here discussing how Trump signed the executive order to declassify, and a lot of that discussion was how much is he going to really have revealed, and how much is going to be redacted, because we're so used to things being redacted when we get them that we're just, of course, concerned that they're going to say, oh, look, we released it, but it's going to look like a zebra on that page. That's just going to be redaction. So I'm really curious if they're going to do a lot of redactions, if they're going to do any redactions. According to the executive order, it didn't look like there would be redactions or much redactions, but I really don't. I don't see the government actually release. Like, I know Trump is all for transparency, or he says he is, but I really just don't see the government releasing any of that without any redactions. It just doesn't seem like something the government would do. I just don't trust. I don't trust them at all. I hope like everybody understands that. I don't trust the government. And if you trust the government, like where is the hole that you're putting your head in the sand? Because not trusting the government gets kind of scary sometimes. It's a theory about more than one shot being fired at the assassination of JFK, or more than one shooter. Yeah, I've actually heard that one a lot. That is probably the biggest, most common theory that I've heard. Like the grassy knoll. situation, and there was a witness that was a person like around the grassy knoll who approached a man, and he showed a federal badge, and he was on the grassy knoll. He was carrying something, and it was like right after everything was going on, when it was all chaotic. The shooting just happened. So there have been witness accounts that there was a shooter, in terms of people hearing someone on the grassy knoll, in terms of that gentleman, with the federal badge being right there. So that is probably, I don't want to say that is or will be, but of all the things that will come out, I really think a second shooter is the most probable of all the secrets that are going to come out about the JFK assassination, because there's too much evidence and witness accounts for there not to have been a second shooter. So let's see if we can, because Anna Paulina Luna, people asked her at the news conference, which I'll pull up here in a minute, that she thinks that there was a second shooter. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. Might sound like a broken record here, but it doesn't matter what they release, because if the truth doesn't conform to anyone's theory, they won't believe it anyway. And as a libertarian, I will say I agree, because we're not very agreeable people when it comes to evidence sometimes, when it contradicts. But a lot of people are like that. A lot of people have their beliefs and they get stuck in them. But like I said, I don't trust the government. I know a lot of people don't. So some people, I'm sure, will think that, okay, this has got to be fabricated, or this conflicts certain theories and witness accounts. There's no way this right here is real. Yeah. So let's see. Let's get the video with Anna Paulina Luna and her press conference about the task force, which I wonder how quickly they're going to act. So, all right, let's get this going here. All right, this gentleman here spoke first.
Thank you, Chairman Comer.
Want to start a podcast, but not sure how? Riverside has got you covered. First, go to riverside.fm and open it.
Okay. No, thanks. No. Okay. All right. It's loading.
When our founding fathers stood against tyranny, they did not merely oppose taxes. They defended the sacred idea of individual sovereignty. They declared that no government, agency, or title could infringe upon the freedoms of speech, religion, thought, and the pursuit of truth. For too long, the American spirit has been dimmed by a veil of secrecy, by a government that has grown too comfortable in the shadows, denying us the transparency we deserve. But today, we stand at the dawn of a new era where the light of truth begins to shine through. A few weeks ago, President Donald Trump made a historic announcement. With the stroke of a pen, he committed to declassifying the files concerning the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a decision not just monumental, but pivotal. It is with profound honor that I have been entrusted by Speaker Mike Johnson and Chairman James Comer to lead the House Oversight Task Force on Declassification of Federal Secrets. Together with the help of...
So, in terms of her political career, I know that she is pretty well respected. Of course, obviously, she's very attractive, so she gets, a lot of attention. But as far as this task force, it's going to be a House committee, as she said. So I'm kind of really curious on who's going to be on it, because if Doge, and I'm going back to Doge, if Doge has taught us anything recently, is that anytime you uncover anything, there's going to be politicians in there with their hands in the cookie jar, just screaming like rabid dogs anytime you want to uncover anything. Like, Doge uncovered the weirdest stuff, and they were all crying bloody murder. So I'm just kind of curious who's going to be on this task force. If it's going to be somebody that's going to be like, although saying that though, it's a lot of older files. But if it makes certain people look bad, I'm just kind of curious if some people are going to want to hide it. Yeah, it's. I don't know. I just really want and hope that it's going to be trustable people. But then again, I really trust Congress as far as I can throw them. And I'm pretty weak. And I'm talking about all together. So.
The White House, our intelligence allies, the Department of Defense, the Department of Justice, we will be conducting investigations into the following: the assassinations of JFK, RFK, and Dr. Martin Luther King, unidentified aerial phenomena, also known as UAPs, unidentified submerged objects, also known as USOs, the Epstein client list, the origins of COVID-19, and the 9/11.
Okay, few things there. I had to stop it there. I just had to stop it there. If you know my posts, if you follow me on X, then you are well aware about myself and keeping the Jeffrey Epstein thing alive, because I really hate that sometimes it gets memory hold, kind of like how the Vegas shooting got memory hold. And I don't think that we should forget. I think daily we should keep our leaders accountable for the fact that they've never released this list. And it's just, it's doing an injustice to all the victims of Epstein and all of his clients should be definitely held accountable. We're not going to discuss what they did. It's terrible what they did, all of them. And we all have hunches on who is on the list. But anyway, but the thing that really threw me off about this whole task force that she mentioned is that they're going to be investigating basically like UFO kind of stuff. She didn't say UFO. She gave different names, as well as the submerged ones. And that threw me off entirely. I don't know. That wasn't like on the executive order, but that means that there could be like alien stuff. Yeah, I agree. Personally, don't believe Trump gives a fuck this time. He nearly died and can't run again, so he's ready to reveal everything, but I'm skeptical if he'll approve the Epstein list. I'm going to say this. I know that the whole, people on the left try to tie Trump to Epstein, right? Because they used to be friends. Of course, there's photo evidence of that. However, Epstein, the story goes, apparently Epstein was trying to hit on some young girl at Mar-a-Lago, and Trump had it kicked out and then never spoke to him since. So that's supposed to be the story there between their relationship, and that there was no flight logs with Trump on them. So, a part of me thinks that, all those rich people, they all know each other, all the elites. And regardless of how Trump is behaving now, he was friends with all of them. They were all buddies. It's all like a club, all rich people club. So there is a part of me that doubts the release of that, because he probably has friends on there, probably more than one friend. I really doubt that he's not buddies with at least one or two people on the list, because the elites all just fly together. that's just what they do. They're all rich and they all just have this little club. So that is why I think he might, hesitate with the list. But as far as the alien stuff go, that, UFO and our UAPs are the original cover-up story here, and that makes me suspicious already. UFOs are boring nonsense, don't care, not interested. I've heard that they use that. They throw us a bone with those here and there, to kind of keep us a little satiated with like, ooh, we're getting some stuff now. But I kind of, I don't know. I've always kind of been a nerd when it comes to like paranormal and was it like alien stuff. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to that one. That's why that threw me off. When she mentioned that, I was just like, wow, that's yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun to me personally. Like I would like to know like what they've found. But honestly, a part of me thinks that they're just gonna say, oh, pilot saw this, or pilot saw that, or Navy saw this, Navy saw that. And they're not going to have like more information besides sightings. Like all of the information on that is going to be sightings. So that's my fear on that one. But I'm still interested in that. I don't know. I'm a total nerd for that stuff. So, yeah, if there are aliens here, so what? What difference does it make? I've heard some weird stuff. And I know we're not supposed to be talking about aliens here. We're talking about the task force. But I guess it still kind of goes together because what she said that is on the task force. So about that, I've heard some really weird things. And I think some of the stuff I've heard, something like, I'm not sure if it's conspiracy theory or if it was like presented as truth about how there are like, I guess like 5 or so different species of aliens or so that we know about, that or at least our government knows about. Like reptilians are one of them. Like the Queen of England went home. And there's like some others like the Greys. There's one that kind of looks more human, and there's some that are helping us out. There's some that are bad, and there's one that's trying to protect us. So I've heard a bunch of different things. And like I said, I'm a total nerd for it. So I was just kind of like looking it up, not taking it as truth, but just curious as to what's out there or what is known and whatnot. So that is something that I don't know. I'm interested in that one. That sounds like fun to me.
11 files. This task force will be a beacon of bipartisanship. On the Republican side, Representatives Burchett, Boebert, Burleson, Crane, Gill, and Mace will be joining me, although I'd like to note that I'm expanding this to the entire governing body and will be allowing certain members to waive on.
Oh, so she said who's going to be on it. Okay. Boebert's going to be on it. Wow. I wonder if she's going to, I don't know, make a movie out of their findings or something and set up a nice little theater.
Our first hearing is set for March. The date will be announced soon, and we've already initiated close to a dozen communications with various agencies, to include Pam Bondi at the Department of Justice and the Secretary of State. This will no longer be a task force that makes bold promises only to fade into irrelevance or send strongly worded letters. This will be a relentless pursuit of truth and transparency, and we will not stop until the American people have the answers they deserve. We will cut through the bureaucracy, challenge the stonewalling, and ensure that the American people finally get the truth that they have been denied for too long. If we are to endure and thrive as a nation, we must restore trust through transparency. The American people must be trusted to think for themselves, to form their own judgments from the truth that they are entitled to know. We've been treated like children for too long and kept in the dark by those we elected to serve us. It is my solemn duty to begin mending this trust, to form a new relationship between the government and the governed. Let us embark on this journey together towards a government that does not serve, but one that enlightens. That does not just serve, but one that enlightens. Trust through transparency, that begins now. Without further ado,
Yeah, transparency. I that's like a word that I think it's a very Inigo Montoya sort of situation every time I hear a politician say it, because many of them are just, a lot of them tout and flout transparency. We never really get it, you know. I know that well, at least this administration actually has been more transparent than I've seen. Like this second term has probably been the most transparent I've ever seen any politician or or administration in general be. Um, I believe it was the Obama administration touted how they were going to be super transparent, and they were absolutely not transparent. They were just opposite of transparent. So, you know, about how transparent they're going to be. They are probably going to get into it and change their mind. I'm sure they will. They're going to debate some things, because not as a conspiracy theory, but realistically, we know the government has some huge secrets, like insanely huge secrets. And realistically, there's no way that some of that stuff is not just going to blow our minds. Because we don't know, first off, what it is they're hiding. And secondly, in terms of big events, you know, things aren't always as they seem. And cover-ups have been rampant for so long, decades, you know, maybe even over 100 years now, even. But cover-ups have been just rampant. It's like the government has never trusted us to know what's really going on with anything. So this whole thing about transparency, yeah, it's like you keep saying that word. I don't think you know what it means, or I don't think it means what you think it means. So, it'll get really interesting when they audit the Pentagon. Last time someone tried that, 9/11 happened. Yeah, and Elon Musk even posted a video about how you try to audit the Pentagon and you will unalive yourself from the back of the head. That is a scary one. And it shouldn't be that way, of course. And I know our military industrial complex is such a huge, huge thing. The world knows it. We know it. And then the Pentagon being kind of the center of all that. Yeah. I fear for Doge and the Doge employees, like, if and when they start to audit the Pentagon. There's so much waste in our defense, and there's so much corruption in it. You know, one of the smallest things that I can think of when it comes to our defense and sus activities would be how we had people like our military guarding poppy fields in Afghanistan. Now, what do they do with poppy? Yeah, opiates. Yet our U.S. military were guarding poppy fields in Afghanistan. That's not really good use of our military. You know, our military should not be involved with that. You know, that is just like the smallest thing that I can think of. And I know there must be much bigger issues and instances, any kind of scenarios or whatnot that have happened that would be uncovered at the Pentagon. Not just like with the funding, but the things that they've done. We saw so many years ago, if you're Gen Z, I know you don't remember this, but there were some I guess prisoners of war that we had captive, and I believe it was Afghanistan. Is it Afghanistan or Iraq? Where we had, or not, I don't want to say as we had, because this is terrible, where some of our military were posing them in very humiliating poses, and taking pictures, like, like we don't want to repeat of that. And that got leaked, that got out. And of course, everybody was just like, this is terrible, we shouldn't be torturing our enemies and whatnot. So I have a feeling that's not the only instance where something like that's happened. I don't think that like, I love our military, I trust our military, but it's not the boots, it's the suits. So I don't trust that there has been no other instances of mistreatment, or war crimes and such. It was Iraq. Okay, yeah, Iraq. So yeah, okay, so you remember it. It was a very, I don't want to say humiliating, but very upsetting time for our country, I believe, because it was just, I don't know. Some people think that it was justified. They were already in prison, torturing people like that, like, and then humiliating. It was just, I don't know. I personally thought it was a little too far. Yeah, the Pentagon had 1.9 trillion go missing in 2023 as well, if anyone remembers that. Yep. Not only that, but didn't the Pentagon find that they gave Ukraine more, like something like 2 billion more than they were supposed to, or that they intended to? Yeah. There's going to be rampant waste at the Pentagon, because one of our biggest budgets is our defense system, because our military industrial complex is out of control. Like, personally, like I said, I love our military. The boots are great. The suits are not so great. And it's the suits that, kind of call the shots. So yeah, all those defense contractors, they make a lot of money. And there's no way there's not any kind of like kickback to the suits. So yeah, because with that ginormous budget, and if you see any kind of memes, like military memes, where the meme is like, when you're a veteran and you see a commercial for something that says military grade, and you're just kind of like, ugh, that. The budget's so high, but a lot of the equipment is not the greatest. There's a lot of really shoddy things that our military have to, deal with and handle and work with. So why would they be dealing with that kind of stuff with our defense budget being so high? So auditing the Pentagon to see where is that money going. It's obviously not going, to, new things like it should be. But who knows? Maybe even just questioning it is just dangerous, which it shouldn't be. But I do have concern for Elon and Doge once they get to the Pentagon. I do. I can't not. I don't think anybody should, go in there naively, because that's a pretty big target. Pretty big target. Okay.
We'd like to open it up for questions, as I'm sure many of you have those. Hands up.
Thank you, Nancy. Obviously, your goals are aligned with the administration's on the declassification, King and the Kennedys. How would you handle if you end up, whether it's President Trump or Attorney General Bondi or P&I Gabbard, if they disagree with, what you're looking to declassify on a certain topic, whether it's UAPs or 9/11 or something like that? How would you handle if there's, some stuff that they don't necessarily want to declassify?
Well, certainly, I think that they'd be supportive, being that they're advocating for this. But also, I want to remind the American people that this is bipartisan. There's also Democrats that are looking into answering these very questions. But certainly, we would share that information with the American people. This is about transparency. I think, again, as I stated for far too long, there's been a massive push to keep the American people in the dark, and that ends today.
Do you want to pursue a future in cybersecurity? ECI is the place for that.
Accelerated degrees in cybersecurity. ECPI University.
These ads, I swear.
Chairman?
The task force does not have subpoena power. I do. The task force is going to be subsidiary of the full oversight committee. So if we have to issue one, Congresswoman Luna, we'll discuss it and we'll take appropriate action.
But in full transparency, we have a great working relationship, as I stated earlier, with the White House, with the DOJ, with the Secretary of Defense, and the Secretary of State. The incoming FBI director, I think, will be very supportive. And we've also been told that the CIA director is very supportive. To put it in perspective, I think that this issue transcends not just one administration, but multiple administrations. And it hasn't been until now that we've been able to get people actually in positions of power that will push for transparency. Now, if I find that different entities in the various intelligence agencies are stonewalling us, I'm going to make that known to the American people. But as of right now, we are cautiously optimistic.
That is one thing that has actually been going on that I like. She said that if anyone tries to stonewall, the investigation or release and whatnot, that they will let the people know. Going back to Doge, because that's like the hot topic right now. All these federal judges or they say activist judges is what they've been calling them, which there's some truth to that, I really think. They have been ruling against Doge doing their job, which is pretty unconstitutional. I am not the redheaded libertarian. I am not a constitutional scholar, but I know enough to where there's a difference between checks and balances and trying to stop one branch of government from just doing their job. Because this is not a checks and balances issue. If it was a checks and balances issue, there would be something illegal going on for them to try to check on. Because if they're just doing their job, they're just doing their job. They're doing their job as aligned per the Constitution. Yes, I know Doge is not in the Constitution, but the president does have the right to audit the executive branch because he is the executive branch. So all this Doge auditing is completely constitutional and is completely legal. He just rebranded an Obama era department. He just rebranded it. It was made to find the issues in the computer systems during the whenever the Affordable Health Care Act, Obamacare or whatnot was released. There are so many different issues in the computer systems and things were trashing. And Obama started this, and Trump just rebranded it. It's not a new agency. It's just the same agency. It just changed focus. So that's what Doge is. Doge is pre-existing, pre-funded, and completely constitutional, legal. And then you got all these judges that are trying to stop Doge from doing these auditing, basically stopping the executive branch from auditing themselves. And it's essentially like, they're really just trying to overstep to make it look like Doge is possibly doing something wrong. Doge is not only doing their job, but they are doing their job per the president's orders, and the president is, you know, working along what his job is described in the Constitution. So the fact that all these judges have been trying to stop all these audits, all these reviews and cutbacks and suspension of funding and like federal aid and such, all these judges trying to overrule the executive branch on this, it's been frustrating, of course, not just, you know, for taxpayers to see that, you know, like, hey, like we're getting somewhere, but obviously, of course, for, you know, those working at Doge, Elon Musk and President Trump. However, they are letting us know who is trying to stop it, and that there are judges that are trying to stop it, instead of just, you know, not covering something or trying to say, oh, we're not going to investigate that anymore, or just like let it fall off the radar. No, they're like, no, this judge said that we can't do this or that. This judge is passing this and that. Although some of that is the left media. They're trying to release some of this stuff that judges rule against Doge to try to make it look like Doge is doing something bad and illegal. You know, that's why they're doing it. Like, they wouldn't want to leave a good impression about Doge, you know, doing their job and just getting, you know, stonewalled from just doing their job. So they released this to make it look like, oh, these judges, you know, they're ruling this, you know, and then constitutional crisis, which is the stupidest thing. I just, now they care about the Constitution. So I digress a lot. What I was getting back to say is that she's saying if somebody tries to stop what they're doing, what they're releasing, then they're going to tell us, hey, so and so said, you know, like we can't release it, can't do that. And it's to me, it sounds almost like siblings, like telling your mom that your brother won't borrow his toys after you told him that you need, you know, he needs to borrow or whatnot. Yeah. It seems almost childish that they would have to do that, but I feel like it's really necessary. You know, judges are not elected. Like, all these judges that are ruling have been appointed by presidents. So, yeah. Like the one that has a daughter that works for the Department of Education, which obviously conflict of interest. He was actually appointed by Obama, I believe. And I really wonder if they're going to try to appeal that one and get anywhere, because there is a conflict of interest. Because Trump has been open about wanting to end the Department of Education, and his daughter is like high up in the Department of Education, which, you know, all of this is just a total conflict of interest. So we'll see where that one goes. I really hope that's one that they appeal. I really do, because I think they can get somewhere with that conflict of interest as a point.
What's your priority list? Is Epstein 9/11?
Our first investigation will be announced, but it's going to be covering on a thorough investigation into the John F. Kennedy assassination. And I can tell you, based on what I've been seeing so far, the initial hearing that was actually held here in Congress was actually faulty in the single bullet theory. I believe that there were two shooters, and we should be finding more information as we are able to gain access into the SCIF, hopefully.
She believes there were two shooters. Did y'all hear that? Like, she didn't say there was proof of two shooters, but she thinks there was two shooters. And I think that she's probably seen something already, that it hasn't obviously been declassified and released yet. But I don't know. To me, that sounds kind of coded. that the whole two-shooter theory does hold merit. Now, she could just be saying this, that it's her theory that there were two shooters, that she's in that, I guess, theory, like theory department or whatever. She's in that mindset of that theory. But I don't, she said that there was a, like a meeting about it that's very faulty, about the single bullet. So I do wonder if she's seen anything. If she's saying that because that's what she thinks and actually just thinks, or if she's seen something that shows that, oh yeah, there was a second shooter. Earlier I was talking about how there was a gentleman at the grassy knoll that actually flashed a federal badge. Yeah, there was actual like witnesses that not only heard but saw the man. So that could very well be a second shooter. Yeah, that's interesting.
Before the files are actually released to the public.
Thank you for doing this. Have you identified the Democrats who will sit on the task force? And could you talk a little bit more about the role of Democrats in this?
Yeah, so again, this is a bipartisan commission. Remember, JFK was a Democrat, RFK was a Democrat, and I'm sure that I think the entire conference has a question on what actually happened with Dr. Martin Luther King, but also UAPs. You guys know that was the biggest bipartisan
I know, that, yeah, JFK was a Democrat. But by today's standards, he wouldn't be. I really don't think that JFK would be a Democrat by today's standards. Democrats have gone so far left. And JFK was like, even just the whole, like, it's not what you can do or your country can do for you, it's what you can do for your country. And nowadays, it's all about the nanny state with the Democrats. That quote right there would have been seen as some sort of like MAGA kind of thing. So, yeah, I don't. It's just in title. So the fact that saying it's bipartisan, I don't think that makes much of a difference. That, the topics are about, the assassinations of, two Democrats, or that it's about, two Democrats and a civilian. So that's not irrelevant, but I don't think it's really all that important to point that out. Like, oh yeah, well, they were Democrats, but there wouldn't be Democrats by today's standards whatsoever, at all, because Democrats today are vastly different than the Democrats of the 1960s. Everybody knows that. I think they even know that, although they're still going to try to claim, oh, JFK is one of us. No, JFK would not have been for all this insane BS that y'all are all about today. Like, it just would not have happened at all. Like I said, that quote, even by itself, he would have been considered a fascist. Talking about you doing something for your country, what a fascist. Or would have been called a fascist by all the people that overuse the word fascist these days. Yeah, and I don't think that was really, pertinent or relevant to even mention about them being Democrats. So, yeah. Okay, so that was the meeting about the task force. She said that there's going to be a release in March. Let's see, January, February, March. That's just next month. So by next month, we should have something something about, she said JFK seems like what they're going to hit on first. You know, hopefully we see, you know, some theories vindicated. I don't know, you know, if you may have any theories, you know, put them in the comments or whatnot. But I do think that there is going to be something probably about the second shooter. It's going to be wild. But I feel like I don't think the government would record damning evidence against themselves. I feel like they might try to, or that they have recorded it as being like something that was like, they'll try to pin it on somebody in their files even. Just like all their files are lies. That's what I don't know. I just have this weird hunch that it's going to be, you know, altered, but not altered today, altered way back when. So yeah, I don't know. I'm really skeptical about anything and everything. I want to be optimistic. I wish I could be optimistic. But yeah, I'm not optimistic about what they're going to come out with. But yeah, I don't know. What do y'all think? Put them in the comments. So yeah, yeah. That's I'm not gonna read that out loud, but yeah, that's essentially what I think too. I don't think that I don't think they're gonna be very forthcoming with anything. It's just not the government's forte to be very forthcoming about anything. So, if you don't already, follow or subscribe, and follow Doge. Doge is I'm calling Doge my Valentine. I don't care. I know it's a government department, but I don't care. They're saving my money. Like, Doge is my Valentine. And I really think that if you have any doubts about them, which I don't think so. Like, if you follow me, if you're watching this, most likely you feel the same about Doge as I do. So if you don't follow them on X already, follow them. They have terminated more contracts today, saving millions of dollars. I believe it was like over 20 contracts. You know, some of them were like advisory kind of contracts and DEI advisory contracts. Which, why would we need DEI advisory? You know, and for millions of dollars. Like, do we want to pay for that? Can they not, like, do they not have an HR person working within the government anywhere to do anything? Like, I don't I don't know. And then everything's getting just like blocked. And the Treasury Department thing. Yeah, let's touch on that for a second. I don't understand how these judges, like, there's a judge that blocked the Treasury Secretary from accessing the Treasury data. Like, you literally are telling the Treasury Secretary he can't work the Treasury. Like, the guy has the job, but they're blocking him. Like, make it make sense. Like, are they really scared on what that's going to be found? Like, I get they want to try to keep Doge out of it because I'm sure there's, you know, corruption and waste and fraud. But the Treasury Secretary is barred? Like, I know it's Cloud World, but that's just... I don't know, Mr. Judge, what are you trying to hide or who are you trying to protect? Because there's obviously something going on. There's no way you're gonna literally stop somebody in the executive branch from doing their job like that. It's just, there's no other reason in a way. If you're trying to block any kind of activity for Doge, I'm gonna assume you have something to hide. And if you're gonna protest Doge, I'm gonna assume you have something to hide. Because why else would you? It's an audit. Why are you scared of an audit? So, yeah. All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up here. I do want to thank everybody for joining in. I know it wasn't really much tonight, but there's a lot to cover, and we will cover more. I probably want to hit on Doge next time, fully hit on Doge, because there's so much there. There is so much to do, like so much, I guess, material and information about Doge and what they've done, what they're doing, and what they found and what they're finding. You know, I'm in love with Doge. So I think that we should probably touch on that next time. And probably get more in depth with it, because that is definitely a rabbit hole that we all need to know what's going on. It's our money. It's our money that's being wasted. And I'm really thankful for Doge. And hopefully that helps our debt, because it's spiraled out of control. So, all right. Well, wrapping it up here. I hope you all have a great night. Thank you for joining me. And always lead with kindness unless they don't deserve it.